welcome back to another great video here on the Savior Show. We keep it at peak performance, so lock up your daughters because this show is not so family friendly, okay? If you're new to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe, join the community today, become a disciple of the Savior channel. We expose the establishment, we make philosophical videos, we make game reviews and retrospectives. So if you like that type of content, make sure that you join the channel and that you do subscribe. You have no idea how much that would mean to me, and I just want to say before the video begins, I appreciate you, okay, for clicking on this video. I appreciate the shit out of you. I'm excited to give you my 40k Darktide review and my Warhammer 40k Darktide game review. If you do find yourself enjoying this video, like I said, support me by giving it a like and check out the synth music that I make on Spotify. If you like the sound of this background music, then you will like my music, I'm sure, because I make a completely unique, weird blend of electronic music. Go check it out. Shut up, Savior, and stop looking at that alien testicle, because yes, it does look good. Look at it. Look at it. Oh yeah. Now, I have to say, I'm not an experienced Warhammer 40k fan, but I have played some previous games in the franchise, in the series. This game was my jam. Let me know if you remember this, but Warhammer 40k Darktide is a completely different beast, and this game is going to blow you away for sure.
But why does this man of war ask for peace?
Because, Lucia, I believe Ardius faces a greater menace. Something more dangerous than the Imperium's war with us.
It is available to play at the moment as a pre-release, and pretty much it's the release now, let's be honest, because this game is coming out in just a few days, and there are some things that need to be improved upon before it does get released, but I don't think that's going to happen, so that's why I'm making this video, to warn you before you purchase, and to tell you if it's worth it or not. But this is based on the beta and the preview build, and the research that I've done, so just remember that things will change, of course, in time. So Warhammer 40k Darktide is an interesting game, and to be honest, I think it's better than Warhammer Vermintide 2, and if you haven't played that game, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Melee combat in that game is just amazing, and it's basically a more fantasy style type of game. 40k Darktide is more of a high fantasy sci-fi. So if you like that type of thing, if you like the kind of gritty and kind of cyberpunky type style of fantasy, then you're gonna like this a lot more than Vermintide 2. But that is still a great game with melee combat being its primary focus. So in 40k Darktide, you are basically playing in a squad of 4. It's a multiplayer game. You can play it solo if you want, but that would kind of defeat the whole point of this game. The combat system is kind of a hybrid blend of the Vermintide 2 gameplay and something like Doom, for example. So it's the best of both worlds. And I do have to say, with this game, what I have noticed compared to the previous Vermintide game is the AI is just a lot smarter in this. The combat system is just a lot better. You know, there's a whole cover system now that's being introduced with the soldiers, you know, flanking you, and then you have the horde of just kind of melee-based enemies rushing at you. So it's a nice blend. There are so many different enemy designs in this, and it all just comes together. Like many, I was a little bit apprehensive about the shooting mechanics, if they could make it feel good, because like I said, it was mainly focused on melee. They managed to do a good job where it feels weighty and impactful, kind of like Doom, a little bit more slower paced, I would say. And the recoil of the guns are nice and impactful. You know, it doesn't feel floaty, which I like. So let's get into the benefits of this game. If you like a multiplayer game where you complete objectives, there's lots of different missions, and the maps do actually get reused a lot, but they are laid out in different ways most of the time, so it doesn't feel boring, which is highly appreciated in a game like this. You're fighting off hordes and hordes of enemies, and at the end you get some loot, which is usually randomly generated. Then this game is going to be up your alley. It's a fun time, and there's a lot to do here. Unlike previous games from this developer, they've understood that sometimes it's annoying to play the same map over and over again just to try and get that loot that you wanted. So now you can actually go to the hub area and buy the loot that you want by completing, you know, the missions that you do. This is great because basically everything that you do now feels, you know, like you're progressing and you're working towards something. Another great thing about this is if you are into Warhammer, then the lore here is great, because this game, even though it's a multiplayer, you know, objective-based wave shooter, I would say in some ways, it's actually got a lot of lore going on, and it's actually got a lot of dialogue in it. So if you're interested in this universe and you want to dive into it for the story aspects, it's actually got quite an interesting story. And for people who are veterans of Warhammer 40k, this is great, because basically you play as rejects of the Empire and basically criminals, and your job is to cleanse the chaos. And basically the chaos are twisted life forms that have been released like a plague on this city, and it's your job to basically wipe them out. And there's a lot of dialogue in this, there's lots of people to engage with, characters to talk to in the hub area, and I'm sure they're going to add so much content to this as it gets more and more popular, as more players come to it. As the player base grows, I'm sure they're going to add a lot more DLC and content to it. I hope that they're not going to try and gouge the player base and add a ton of microtransactions and all of this modern day bullshit. I hope that they are actually respectful and that they release a steady stream of content that doesn't try and milk for consumers as much as possible, like so many other AAA studios do nowadays, because the industry is all about money, and I hate that. This feels like it's returning to the roots of gaming and good multiplayer fun without any of the kind of hidden bullshit agenda in it, and that's a big plus. I'm just going to quickly talk about the 4 classes to let you know what you want to play as. And basically there are 4 choices. Like I said, you've got the sharp shooter. Basically you get more ammo and you can slow down enemies, and basically, you know, you're more focused on tight aiming and heavily focused on shooting, not so much the melee combat. Then you've got the psychonetic, who basically blows up heads because they have such knowledge. A psychonetic is constantly listening to big brain people like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and different podcasts, and because they have such high knowledge and such intelligence, and they watch Rick and Morty in their underwear, they have the power to blow people's heads up because they have such knowledge. So that's a great class. And basically you have a sword, and it's kind of a middle class between focusing on ranged and melee. Then you have the preacher, kind of like me, who basically is high melee and can dash around and be quick and all kinds of stuff. And then you have the skull breaker, which is the big daddy, the big boy, who can come and, you know, grab you by your balls. So that's great as well. Yes, you only get 4 classes, but maybe more will be added in the future, I don't know. But the best thing about this is you can customize it with character customization, and it is super detailed, which I love, because you can make your character feel like your own. Now let's quickly just dive into the negatives, because there are negatives like any game. And like I said, never pre-order games because it's never a good thing. I hope you're enjoying my 40k Darktide game review. And like I said, if you are, make sure that you give it a like. But I do have to say this as a warning, okay? I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes if you're looking forward to this game, but it's important to be aware that most games and developers these days, you can't trust them for shit, okay? The industry has become very dogmatic in its approach to making games and focusing only on, you know, the monetary side of things and making as much money as possible, and usually they release games that are unfinished. This game I am super optimistic because I think the developers here do truly care, and in time it will be super polished, but at the moment I would not say get this because you need to wait because it does have issues. The connection issues are the main thing. Some people even need a VPN just to play this because it just won't connect, which is absolutely, you know, just broken, okay, and they can't release it like this. Hopefully that's already been fixed, but, you know, recently a lot of people have reported issues. The matchmaking is terrible, but that's quite normal for a game just releasing. But the big problem is the disconnects, okay? So you're invested in this mission, it's a multiplayer game, and you're doing this so you can level up, you can get the loot at the end of the game. Nothing is more annoying than if you get a disconnect just before the game ends, and you miss out on all the loot, all the experience, and that does happen a lot, okay? I've had disconnects myself playing the preview version of the game, and that needs to get fixed, okay? That is the main thing that has to be fixed, so it's not worth buying until that's been fixed. And the other thing is FPS issues are abundant and they need to be ironed out. If you haven't got a super powerful computer like me, you know, I don't have anything fancy, I've got a pretty shit computer, and if you're like me and you've got not a high-end computer, then this is going to be terrible, okay? The FPS just dips all the time and hard crashes, and hopefully this will all get ironed out when it comes to consoles and it will get patched on PC. But that is Warhammer 40k Darktide. Let me know if you're going to get this game or not, and if you are going to wait for it to be fixed, because I think that is something that you should do. Let me know, and please subscribe to the channel if you are new, because I am passionate about making great content for you guys and just exposing the BS and just talking about things that we are all interested in. So make sure that you join the channel and you check out the music that I make on Spotify. If you actually want to support me as a smaller channel and you want me to keep doing this, consider dropping a small donation on PayPal. That would mean so much to me, you have no idea. Just support the show in any way that you can, and I will love you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace out.